So to flatten the shopping cart item object, let's go to shopping cart item class. Here we want to add all the necessary properties of a product object. So title, which is a string, image URL, and unit price, which is a number. We should also add the key because every shopping cart item object also has a key. Now we need to modify this constructor because we are no longer going to pass a product object here. So temporarily, I'm going to comment it out. Now look, we have a compilation error in our total price property because we no longer have the product. So we should reference the price directly. We should also add this quantity property. So quantity is a number. Okay, the compilation error is gone. Now we need to revisit this constructor. So I'm going to bring it back. Let's find out where we have used this constructor. So we can find all the references by pressing Shift and F12. So we have two references. One is here inside shopping cart item class, and the other is inside our shopping cart. So in our shopping cart, we added this constructor, and here we're basically getting that items map and convert that to a shopping cart item array. So let's go here and modify this code. All right, so here's our shopping cart class inside the constructor. I'm going to change this line. So I'm going to temporarily define an object. Let's just call it X. New shopping cart item. Now we have a compilation error because in the constructor, we expect a couple of parameters. I'm going to go back to this class and delete this constructor because we're no longer going to pass the product and quantity here. Okay, now back in the shopping cart. So we have a new shopping cart item. Now I want to copy all the properties that we get from this object from Firebase into this new object. We can do this by using object.assign. So here we have two parameters, target and source. Our target is X and our source is item. And with this, we copy all the properties from item to X. Now, you know that our shopping cart item object also has a key property. So we need to set that here because key is not one of the properties in this shopping cart item object that we get from Firebase. In other words, let's expand one of the shopping cart items. So these are the properties that we have in this item object. In order to get the key, we need to get it from here, right? And that is this product ID. Because we're iterating over the items map, we get each key, which is a product ID. And from here, we get the value, which is a shopping cart item object. So here, as part of initializing this actual shopping cart item object, I'm also going to set x.key to this product ID. And finally, I'm going to push this into our array of shopping cart item objects. Now, once again, we're going to come back and simplify this implementation. I just wanted you to know exactly what we are doing in terms of mapping one object type to another. Now, one more change we need to make is in our service. So when we add a product to our shopping cart, we want to store it using the new flat structure. So let's go to shopping cart service. Look at this method, update item quantity. This is where we're storing or updating a shopping cart item. Now, first, I want to change the name of this method because here we are not just updating the quantity, we're also storing this product. So let's rename this to update item. Now, instead of storing the product in a separate property, we're going to have individual properties. So first, let me break this up into multiple lines. Okay. So these are the properties we're going to update in Firebase. Now, instead of product, we're going to have title, which we set to product.title, image URL, which we set to product.image URL, and finally, price, which we set to product dot price. So now we have a flattened structure. Let's delete this line. Now, if you go back in the browser, on the shopping cart page, you can see we fixed the issue with the quantity. Now we have the right value here, but we don't see the product or the price. And the reason for that is because we have changed our data structure. So on our shopping cart template, look, we're referencing item.title. But currently in our database, title is under the product property. So we should either run a separate job that would convert our data structure to the new format, or simply delete the existing objects and start adding new items to our shopping cart. I'm going to go with the second approach because our application is still under development. It's not in production. We don't need to do data migration. So let's keep things simple. So here in Firebase, I'm going to delete all these items in a shopping cart. Okay. Now on the shopping cart page, you can see we have 0 items and there is nothing in this table. So now let's go to the home page and add a few items to the shopping cart. Okay, something is not working properly because we don't see the button and also our categories are not rendered. So let's take a look at the console. Sure, we have an error. In product cart component.html, we get this error, cannot read property. This is a product ID of undefined. So let's click here, product cart component.html, line 9. This is where we have an error. So when we call shopping cart.getQuantity, we get that error. So here back in our shopping cart class, this is the getQuantity method. We try to access this property of items map, but items map was undefined. So we need to slightly change our constructor here. The consumer of this class is going to pass the items map to this constructor. And here we simply iterate over items map to initialize our items array. Now, what if they pass null or undefined? You want to make sure that this object is in the right state. So here, I want to set this items map to items map or an empty object. This way, we can ensure that this items map field is initialized properly. So back in the browser, the error is gone. Our UI is rendered properly. Let's add a few items to our shopping cart. So I add 2 spinach and 1 bread. Now let's go to shopping cart. You can see this page is rendered properly. We see the title of products, their quantity and their price. Let's change the quantity. So 3, and now the price is also updated. One more time, the price is updated. Now let's remove 1 spinach. Again, the price is updated. Perfect. Now let's have a look at our database before we finish this lecture. So now each shopping cart item is an object with these properties. We no longer have product as a separate property. So with this new structure, we fixed a few bugs and also simplified our templates.